Hey, I'm here at the Empire State Building. The Challenge Athletes Foundation is running a promotional event for their very worthy cause. What they do is they help people with disabilities get involved with exercise as a means of building character, fitness, and good mental health. So I'm here with Rudy, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the agency, the group's mission and what they do and how they contribute to the Flatiron District in Chelsea and Greater New York in terms of their mission. Go ahead, take it away, Rudy.
Thank you. My name is Rudy Garcia Tolson. I'm 29 years old and I'm a new transplant here to New York, so I'm very excited to be here. This is actually my first year doing the Empire State Building run-up, and I'm excited to run up all 86 flights. And as a double above the amputee, stairs are very challenging for me. I try to avoid them as much as possible, but this time I'm taking them on head on, and I look forward to being at the top. This year I am part of Team Challenge Athletes Foundation. The Challenge Athletes Foundation is 25 years in running. We've raised over $92 million, and our mission is that for challenge athletes all around the world, we believe that through sport you can get back into the game of life. Whether you are born with a challenge, such as myself, whether you're a military veteran who got injured, whether you have an accident midlife, we believe that when you get back into sports, it opens the whole door up of getting back into the game of life. Whether it be going to the Paralympics, whether it be doing an Ironman, or just going outside to play with your kids, we believe that being able to get outdoors and run and enjoy life is a right for everybody. So what we do is we give grants to people who need them. More specifically, we give running legs or racing wheelchairs to people who want to get active. But it doesn't stop at running legs. It goes all the way if someone needs a specific leg for a specific sport, such as skiing or snowboarding or cycling. We do it all. And so we believe that through sport you can get back into the game of life. But more importantly, I've been able to see more of a bigger mission, and that is to be able to be a role model and to motivate kids who are in the same situation as me. When I was young and I was growing up, and I was going through the challenges that I went through, I never had someone to look at and to kind of see, how other people with no legs can run or who can swim. And so for me, that's why I find it utmost important to be at the starting line, especially at the Empire State Building run-up, so I can spread my message, and I can spread the message of the Challenge Athletes Foundation, so everybody around the world who has a challenge can understand that no matter what the challenge you have, whether it be no legs, whether it be one leg, whether you're in a wheelchair, whatever it is, you can still accomplish what you want to do.
That's great, Rudy. So tell us, for city kids or people that are living in an urban environment with the subways, with stairs and the challenges of getting around, how does exercise and what your group does help people adapt to that, particularly people that might have had an accident and just getting back into the swing of things? How would your group help?
Well, we believe in an active lifestyle. We believe that exercise should be a part of everybody's lives. And that goes for overall health and fitness, especially as you age and you get older. It's always beneficial to your health to be active, to live an active lifestyle.
Okay, so we're here now with Angel. Angel, can you tell us how your artificial arm and how you've been able to use that to engage in athletics and how it's influenced your life and your attitude towards acting and exercise and everything else? Give some insight to our readers.
Absolutely. So I typically wear every day a prosthesis that's called a myoelectric that allows me to do daily living tasks. But once I started to want to get more involved in athletic situations, I had to have a completely separate prosthesis for that. So at that point, I contacted Challenge Athletes Foundation, and I was able to get a grant to help me fund this really awesome activity arm that has different attachments depending on the activity I'm doing. So from archery to yoga to running to weightlifting to cycling, I have different attachments for all of those things. And with acting, I was able to learn how to do archery pretty well, and my first big commercial was a Super Bowl commercial where I was doing archery, which is pretty awesome.
Okay, so you actually do all of those sports?
I do all those sports. So I was always active in high school as well, in college, and just participating in activities. I believe in a healthy, active lifestyle. Obviously, it's good to stay fit, especially being in the industry that I'm in. And with, an activity prosthesis, it's really helped me work on my upper body. I was always really good at the running sports, right? But I wanted to be able to figure out how to do these activities that are not exactly designed for a one-handed person. So it's been really cool to have this adaptive arm that lets me do those things.
So it's interesting. So some of the sports you mentioned, with your adaptive arm, the learning curve and being able to be competitive in those sports, how long does it take? And how much did that factor in? So learning how to do archery with the arm or some other sports, give us a little bit of insight into what the learning curve was before you really got up to speed.
Right, so when I first got my activity arm, I had all these different attachments for different sports. And I kind of just jumped in head first. I signed up for all these yoga classes. I started going to an archery range. I started doing weightlifting. I started going to cycling stationary classes every day. With archery, I loved it so much that I got pretty proficient, I would say within about a year. Pretty consistent shot. I wouldn't say bullseye every time, but clusters for sure. With weightlifting, I feel pretty confident in that. With yoga, I really, really enjoy it, and I'm working towards getting my certification for teaching. As well as cycling, I just put in a grant to start to get a cycle so I can start competing in triathlons. And that's taken 3 years for me to feel pretty confident in my cycling abilities. So it just depends on the activity and how much you do it and how much you want it. Because I really wanted to do these activities and I wanted to be good at them and I love them. So I've kind of devoted my time to it.
Now here's a question for you. Once you get the hang of using the prosthetic device, can you actually be good, if not better, than the so-called normal people?
Those normal people, right? So I do get a lot of comments online of, that's an advantage, especially with my archery arm. They're like, oh, she has no wrist rigidity that she has to worry about. It's already rigid on its own. I'm like, yeah, but you guys don't understand what's really going on in this part here. I'm not saying that it's not possible to have certain aspects that are better, but there are aspects that make it different. Eventually, there's probably going to be prosthetic devices that do allow you to be better than normal people. But right now, I still think we're at a point where it's pretty competitive with the two.
Okay, and how much does one of those devices cost?
Ooh,
If somebody were to buy it on their own without the grant?
Without the grant on its own, it really depends on the type of device you're getting. They're so customized to the person's body, right? They're very individual. Depending on the parts, like the attachments that you need. I have something called a BOA system because my arm's very short, so I can tighten it down if I need to. If I start to slip, I have a specific liner. So all these things are priced individually. Your prosthetist, the person who makes this device, they make all those calls. So they're the ones that acquire all these pieces. So it could be as little, and I know this isn't a little, but as little as $5,000 to up to, say, $40,000 for an arm like this.
And how long would they last? Are they good for 10 years, 20 years?
Right. I mean, obviously you want new attachments so you can switch out. So people get those every year, every few years with every new activity they want to learn. With the actual device, since it's carbon fiber a lot of the time, they do make it pretty far. The real issue though is your limb changes, whether you gain weight or different things like that. So it is nice to get that part replaced, which is just a socket fit. I would say most people upgrade every 3-4 years.
Interesting. Well, it seems like a great investment. So if somebody's handicapped or has a disability or has had an accident, there's no reason why they can't participate in all these sports and really get the most out of life with exercise and everything else. Okay, thank you so much. That was informative. I'm sure our bloggers and readers will really like to hear all this stuff. Thanks so much.
Anyone with a difference can compete in anything that they want to.
Great. Thanks so much.
It also creates a bigger message, and it also inspires able-bodied athletes who maybe have self-doubts about what they can and can't do. So when someone sees me doing the Empire State Building run-up as a double amputee, maybe they'll think to themselves, well, hey, if Rudy's doing it, why can't I?
So how would a typical disabled person go about getting a grant? Would they have to fill out an application, or would they get in contact with you directly?
Yeah, so the Challenge Athletes Foundation does yearly grants. You go to the challengeathletesfoundation.org, go to the website, and you'll see on the home page, you'll see fill out, apply for a grant today. And through that grant, you go through a process. And last year alone, we gave close to $3 million in grants to people all around the world. And so a lot of times when people become injured or they are born with a challenge, Insurance companies will typically provide them with a walking leg or an everyday wheelchair. But a lot of times these insurance companies say that sporting equipment such as this running leg is a luxury. And we believe it's a right. We believe every kid should be able to go play at recess. Every mom and dad should be able to go outside and play with their kids. And that's what our mission is, to make sure that everybody has that opportunity and to make sure that they have the equipment needed to get there. And we put on clinics as well, so we teach people how to run, teach people how to swim, and so we do it all.
So, in addition to the legs, which you're demoing for us right there, what is that called? That's a running.
These are my C-Sprints, my OSA running legs.
Okay.
And they're made out of carbon fiber. And tomorrow when I do the Empire State Building run-up, the nice part about having no legs is I can be as tall as I want or as short as I want. So tomorrow I will put on my small running legs and I will make myself a little bit shorter, which will kind of bring down my center of gravity and make it a little bit easier to me to go up and down the stairs.
Neat. So in addition to those running legs, what other sort of adaptations and pieces of equipment would be helpful to handicapped?
I think for anybody who is a challenge athlete, a lot of times what they need is a running foot, a running leg. Sometimes they need a racing wheelchair, or maybe a hand cycle to make sure that they can still do cycling competitions, or whether it be a hand cycle so they can do running competitions, or even if it's adaptive swim lessons. For anybody who wants to get involved in the swimming and they might feel intimidated to go to the local Y and join a team. Well, what we do is we pair them up with people in the local area who will have experience with adaptive athletes, and we make sure that they get the right instructions and be helped put in the right direction to make sure that they can do what they want to do to achieve their goals.
Okay, Rudy, that's great. Thanks so much for filling us in. I'm sure our blog followers will look at this with great interest, and good luck with you with your efforts.
Thank you. I'll see you guys at the top.
Okay. I'm here with Laura Stein. So we just heard from those two magnificent athletes and how they've been able to overcome their handicaps and lead athletic, active lives. Now we're going to hear from the person that directs marketing for the organization and about the challenges and issues facing athletes with handicaps and what they have to give to the society. Go ahead, take it away, Laura.
Yeah, so at the Challenge Athletes Foundation, we've been around for 25 years now, and we're 100% committed to helping individuals with permanent physical challenges get access to sports and an active lifestyle. We believe that sports is an incredible pathway to success in life, and we believe that the population that we serve more than anyone else needs access, needs affordable adaptive sports equipment, needs community, needs mentorship, needs examples of what's possible when you just show up and try. So last year in 2017, we funded over 2,500 individual grants totaling close to $3.7 million in funding across 97 different adaptive sports. So the traditional ones like swimming and cycling and wheelchair basketball are always at the top of our grant distribution list, but in this past year we were also supplying grants for blind golfing, for wheelchair ballroom dancing, for beep baseball. So there's a wide variety of sports out there, and the community continues to innovate, continues to get creative, and come up with ways for people with permanent physical challenges to be active and live a healthy life.
So what are the particular challenges of running this type of organization? Is it getting the donors to come up with the money? Is it breaking through the public awareness of this type of donation and charity? I mean, what are the particular challenges?
Yeah, I think the main challenge is having a very high touch and personal approach in our dealings with all of our different stakeholders. So we work with charitable foundations that provide grants. We work with private individual philanthropic donors. We work with corporate partners like Toyota and Ironman and Nike and Calvin Klein and the huge gamut. And then the population that we serve. So really, and then event fundraisers. So tomorrow at the Empire State Building RunUp, presented by Turkish Airlines and powered by CAF, we'll have 25 fundraisers who each have to raise over $2,000 to get one of our charity slots. So we raise a lot of our funds that way. I think the biggest challenge is being able to raise enough money to really fund the need every year. So we want to be able to fund 100% of our grant applications. We want to be able to grow our program footprint. So we put on camps and clinics. We work with our global prosthetics partner, OSER, to put on running and mobility clinics around the country. We would like to offer that in every city where there's, a population that needs that kind of training and needs that kind of support. So I think the biggest challenge is scale and making sure that we're bringing enough money in to fund the need for the community. There's over 20 million individuals in the United States alone that are living with some sort of physical challenge.
So for our viewers and readers in Flatiron and Chelsea, what can they do to be involved and help out with this charity and help out with your mission?
Yeah, so the biggest thing that our charity does here in New York City is we have an annual fundraising gala. It is at the Midtown Hilton, June 6th, 2018. So if you go to challengeathletes.org, you'll find out information. It's called the Heroes, Heart, and Hope Gala. That's the easiest way to learn about the foundation, to connect, and also to help raise money. And then throughout the year, we put on different opportunities to connect with challenge athletes, to perhaps do the New York City Marathon or the New York City Triathlon and make the Challenge Athletes Foundation the beneficiary of your fundraising. So there's a lot of different ways you can get your company involved. The Challenge Athletes Foundation provides incredible employee engagement opportunities. We have challenge athletes that can come to your company, can tell their personal story, can talk about how critical sports and an active lifestyle has been for their recovery and their livelihood.
Okay, that's great. So those are all good suggestions. We'll put it up on the blog and make sure we do our part to make people aware.